My name is Sharon Lee. The last lady who spoke, she told her age, so I guess that's a part of the bio. My name is Sharon Lee. I just turned um 60 and I live in Atlanta. I've been here about 4 years. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I live in upstate New York for 30 years. I went to college, met my husband there, had a child, had a store. My husband retired, and we moved back to the Philadelphia area because my son works in New York. But then we figured out somehow God got us in Atlanta, and I'm so glad. We purchased the house here in Atlanta, and we love it here. And we always say, can I just go on talking? You want me to keep going? Okay, we came to Atlanta and it was so funny. We live on, don't laugh, ladies. I live on a place and it's called the Fairfield Plantation. But the only thing now is we own the plantation. We own houses and things. We don't work out in here. So, but I, I've been here about 4 years and I called it the Island of Patmos when I first came here because we knew nobody here. And so, but the Lord separated me because I used this time to write. And I was always too busy, I would say, before to do it. And this time I wrote, and behind me is the book I just released. It's called TT the Color Calendar. And and I'll tell a little bit how I got started with this. But when I lived in Philadelphia, and I had mentioned this to Ruth earlier, when I lived in Philadelphia, we lived on in a condo on one of the main one thoroughfares in Philadelphia. Is called City Avenue, which is a quite expensive area to live. The last month that we lived there, we had mice. And so I used to say I don't like mice. No, the truth is I'm afraid of them. Okay. And so I thought, well, we're moving. We purchased a house in Atlanta. And so I said, I'm leaving, I'm moving so I can deal with this because they couldn't deal with the mice, obviously. And so we moved to Atlanta. So when I came to Atlanta, we closed on our house. So I had to we stayed in a condo down here for a week until we closed on our house. So when the movers moved all of our stuff from storage and moved me in this house, one of the movers said, there's mice in the truck. And I mean, I just really wanted to just freak out. It's like, I can't take this again. And so I said to my husband, I said, we have to go to the shelter and get a cat. He was really surprised because I don't like mice, but I really don't like cats. I didn't like cats at the time. I mean, animals, period, but especially cats. So he was shocked. But when we built our house in upstate New York, and it was in the woods, and so we all the animals were in there. So a friend of mine, once they closed the house up, she put her cat in my lower level in a cage, and just the smell, I guess, mice or got rid of the mice. So I remembered that when I moved here, and I insisted with my husband that we go to the shelter and get a cat. And so I was getting the cat only for a short period of time. Don't judge me. And I was taking her cat because I thought I just need her here to get rid of any mice that are here, and then we'll take her back. But somehow I started liking her. I started like her name is TT, and I started liking her a lot. But then I had this, and then it was during the time of all the social injustice and everything that was going on. And when I looked at TT, she's a calico, if you know anything about cats. And calicos have different colors in them. They have all the colors actually of the human race on her. She's brown, black, white. She has red in her. No, this is this is something. And the Lord began to speak to my heart concerning her. And I do these table talk panels on racism. And so when I was talking to some of the people, I would have these panels, and some of the ladies would talk on this panel, and some of them I knew. And I knew, even though they were speaking out concerning injustices that were taking place, I knew that two of the ladies, I'll say, had self image problems. And they would really go after the injustice that was taking place in the world. But I also saw that they could fight more fiercely if they were settled with who God created them to be. And so there, out of this thinking on this, then the Lord began to speak to me about teaching. And I thought, from me teaching preschool for 16 years, I thought, you know what? Even though if all if laws are passed and racism was taken care of, that's still not going to deal with self-image problems if you have them. And so, so I began to think, and I thought, you know what? That we need to know that we were divinely designed for a purpose. Once that's settled in us, I think we can deal with life, we can deal with things that take place on the stage of human history more accurately, and we can fight lovingly and fiercely. But we can't if certain things on the inside of us aren't dealt with. So that's where the book TT the Color Calico that I'm holding up, that's where this came out of. And I thought, you know what? Let's talk to young girls, young boys too, but mainly on my heart was young girls, and building in them who they are, who God created them to be. So they'll know along their journey what they need to abort and what they need to embrace, and what they embrace, because sometimes you're always going to have people trying to manipulate you and tell you you're not good enough, you're not tall enough, you're not smart enough, you're not light enough, you're too dark, you're too fat, I mean, you're always going to have that. But once you're settled with who God created you to be, you handle those things differently. And some people I've seen in my lifetime, in my 60 years, women would handle it by sleeping around, or, being, you almost wanted to live under the table because they were so, beaten down. And I thought, this book is out of teaching you how to embrace who you are, who God created you to be. And so out of that, you can live life, spirit, soul, and body, more clever, more fiercely, more boldly, and more like a sniper, if I can use that word, more deliberately. And so out of that, that's where that book came from. And here I am, because now I want to promote this, and I want this in the hand of, little boys and little girls, because it explains racism and it explains self-image simply. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. No. Am
Is
I
this,
muted?
I don't know if anyone's going to prompt questioning, but I'll ask a question. Is this the first children's book you've written, or any book at all that you've written?
This is the first book, period. This is my first children's book. I'm also, among other things, I'm also a food blogger. I'm a chef. And that's when I lived in upstate Pennsylvania. I taught school, and then we had a shop. And I had to decide, that's why I only taught school for 16 years, because then we had a shop called the Upper Crust. And so out of that, um, I do that as well. So yes, this is my first book, but I have many recipes that I've gathered, because in the future I want to do a cookbook as well. Books. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
You're very
So how
welcome.
much do you have a link for where we can find your book? Amazon? Where do you get it from? Please
Yes,
put
I
it in the
do.
chat.
The link is very simple. It's Sharon Gaines, that's my maiden name, SharonGainesLee.com. And you can go there, and it gives some testimonials of kids that I taught throughout the years. And some of the kids, a few of the kids are doing great things on TV. And so they give some testimonies of how I taught them and how I affected their lives. But you can also order, the book is on Amazon and eBay, ebook, Barnes and Noble. So all the major portals you can purchase it.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Welcome.
And I'm also, just so I can say, I'm also in, I'll give a plug for myself. I'm also in this challenge in Bon Appetit to be it's called favechef.com, where if I win this, I win $50,000, and I win a spread, which this is the part of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited about the money part of it too. I get a 2-page spread in the Bon Appetit magazine So you can
So we
just go to
gotta support-
faithchef.com and vote for Sharon Lee.